friends, welcome to Love Good Lane. My name is Matthew and I thank you for joining me. I hope you had a great weekend. And for this week's video, we're back in the kitchen, but not the kitchen that you're used to seeing lately. We're gonna do a throwback, and I dug out a recipe and a video from several years ago before my channel was even really an official channel, and it was a different house, different kitchen, and it might be an old video, but it is still a recipe that my family enjoys all the time, and I know that you're gonna enjoy as well if you haven't seen it, if you haven't tried it. So give it a look, check it out, and I know you're gonna love it. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It does help me out, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon. Until then, enjoy. Hi there. Welcome back to Love Good Kitchen. Or hello, if this is your first time with us. I'm Matthew, and I'm so glad you're here. You can see I'm not all dolled up today. It's been a long but wonderful afternoon here at the Love Good house. And I'm about to throw a pie in the oven, and I thought, why not share it with you all? Actually, this is the blueberry sour cream pie that I mentioned in a previous video for the pie crust recipe that I like so much. So I already have the crust prepared exactly like I showed in that video. I will link that video down below in case you missed it or if you want to reference that. So that's the crust that we're going to use, and this is a 9-inch single crust that I have prepared. So I also have my recipe card right here, so I don't have to memorize everything. So if you're seeing me glance over there, that's what I'm looking at. Let's see what ingredients we're going to need today. This is very simple. I think if you have a bowl, a spoon, and you're able to stir for a minute or two, you can put this pie together. It's super delicious, but really easy. So what we're going to need is our crust, our 9-inch pie crust that I just mentioned. We're also going to need 3/4 cup of sugar. We have 2 tablespoons of flour. We have 1 cup of sour cream. We have 1 egg. We have 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We have 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and of course blueberries. Now it calls for 2.5 cups of blueberries. That's about 1.5 pints approximately. You don't have to be super exact with the fruit, approximate. So those are the ingredients that we're going to need. So what we want to do first is take the sugar and the flour, and we're just going to whisk those together real quick so that they're incorporated evenly. Excellent. I think that'll do it. Then in this bowl, we need to blend our sour cream. Now I have my Pampered Chef handy dandy measure-all. This is so great for peanut butter, sour cream, mayonnaise, if you have to measure shortening, anything like that, that it's a real pain in the neck to have to scrape out your traditional measuring cup. This, it has the measurement markings, so you know exactly how much to put in, whether it's 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, 1 cup, what have you. And then we just go boop, straight into the bowl. We don't have to scrape. I am just going to take that little bit off the edge because I don't want to leave any goodies in there. Put that in there. So in this bowl we have our sour cream. We're going to put our egg, and I'm going to try it again. We'll see how it goes. You're not supposed to crack your egg directly into the mix in case you get some shell, but we're going to go for it. And what do you know? I did get a little piece, but it was a big one, so I just got it. So we're good to go there. And then we're going to put in our vanilla. That was the 1.5 teaspoons. Our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. make sure I'm not forgetting anything. We've got the sour cream, egg, melon, and salt. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna use the same whisk, and we're just gonna blend this together. It's not gonna take but a few seconds to blend this up. The recipe actually calls for you to use a mixer. Again, you could if you wanted, but if you have a whisk, it's easier than dragging out your mixer, and it only takes a few seconds. It's already pretty much done. And that was what? 10 seconds? Okay, so we blend that together. Now we have our sugar and flour mixture. I'm gonna whisk that in. Put that in there. This pie is so good. If you're a person that gets a little nervous when you hear the sour cream part of the sour cream blueberry, don't worry, it doesn't taste sour. It just tastes delicious. Okay. That's it. Then we have our blueberries. And for this, we're just gonna fold, stir. You wanna be somewhat gentle because of course you don't wanna break up your blueberries. There. Oh, I see caught a little piece of stem there. Okay, I'm just gonna stir them in. Now I will say that this, at the moment, this is kind of an expensive pie because this is not peak season for blueberries, so it was a little pricey to get the blueberries, but it's worth it, obviously, because I did it making this pie so good. You could also do this with frozen blueberries. I have some frozen blueberries in the freezer. If you were to use those, don't let them thaw first. It'll be too watery, too mushy. Just use them from their frozen state. Okay, that's pretty well stirred up. So we have our 9-inch pie crust. And again, this is my oil pie crust, my favorite pie crust recipe. And if you missed that video, it's linked down below. It's also very easy to do. So now we're just gonna pour this into our pie shell. By the way, that crust is not par-baked or pre-baked. Not necessary for this particular pie. Just scrape it down the edges because I don't want any of that delicious goodness to be left in the bowl. Okay, put that in here. And I'm just gonna move the blueberries around a little bit so that we get it somewhat even. We had some bunched up blueberries. There. Beautiful. So there is a topping that we're going to put on this, but we are going to bake it a little bit first and then put the topping on. You want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, which I have done. It's been on back there getting ready. And so we're going to put this pie into our preheated 400 degree oven and let it bake for about 30 minutes. And then we're going to take it out. We're going to give it a look over, see what's going on, and also put the topping on. And at that time, I will mix up the topping and show you how to do that. And we'll finish up this pie. But hang tight, I'll bring you back when our pie has baked for 30 minutes. And we're back. Our pie has been in the oven for 30 minutes, so it's time to take it out. Let's do that. Set this over here for now. So the next step is to prepare the topping to go onto our sour cream blueberry pie. And it's pretty simple. You get out the butter the ingredients for the topping are some cold butter. I think it's easier to incorporate it all together if you chop it up a little bit first. It just doesn't take as much time. Now the recipe calls for 1.5 tablespoons of butter. That's kind of weird. I just use 2. It turns out fabulously each time. So 2 tablespoons of cold butter that I just chopped up a little bit. And we've got 2 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons of flour. So we're just going to, and I have a pastry blender. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can use 2 knives. Cross-cutting that way works as well. That's what my grandmother used to do. She didn't have any fancy gadgets, but I'm just using it to blend this together a little bit first. That's fine. And then we're going to put our butter in. Good. And here we go. We're just pushing down with the pastry blender. And I keep that knife here because a couple of times I do like to scrape down the pastry blender. Because it does get, if your butter is nice and cold, it does get caught up in there a little bit, but you just use that knife to poke down a little bit. It's already looking pretty good, but we're going to keep going a couple more times here. Just kind of mix it around. You often hear people talk about, for pastry, talk about the butter being the size of peas. I don't know about that. To me, it's more like, maybe like oats. It's looking pretty good. Scrape down one more time. One bit off of there. Okay, I think that's about it. So let's see if I can show you a little bit, but it's basically like maybe shaggy small peas or oats, something like that, but just have that incorporated. So let's bring our pie over. It's still hot, so I need to put on my mitts. Bring that over here. And now we're just going to sprinkle on our topping. I like to try to get it close-ish to the edge, but yet I also don't want to spray it all over the edge of the pan and make a mess. I'm kind of a neat freak like that. So we're just sprinkling and kind of going around the edge a little bit. If there are some blueberry that pokes through, even better. It's fine. Okay, just keep going here. Almost got it all. Okay, before I put this back into the oven, I am going to use a pie crust shield. This is a flexible silicone one. They also have a metal ring type that just sits on here, but we're going to put this on because the rim of the crust, the fluted edge, is looking perfect. So I don't really want it to get any more brown than it is right now. So we're just going to put this, lay it on top, and that will prevent it from getting too brown or burnt, but yet the pie can still cook. Now, if you don't have a metal ring pie crust shield or the silicone kind, you can use some foil. Now, you've probably seen some videos or television programs where they take strips of foil and then they kind of shape it around, and then you have to crunch it over so that it stays on. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So if you are doing the foil, I would recommend just tearing off a piece of aluminum foil that's about the size of your pie, and then just take a scissors and cut a hole in the center, so you'll have a square, and just cut a hole. It doesn't have to be perfect, just approximate, and then just set that on top. It'll do the same thing, and it's a lot easier than trying to fuss with all those little strips of foil and getting it crimped and to stay on. So that's my suggestion for that. This is going to go back into our oven that's still at 400 degrees, and it's going to be about 15 minutes. We'll give it a peek when we get to that point, but I'll put it back in the oven and we'll bring you back. Okay, it's been another 15 minutes and it's time for our pie to come out of the oven. I don't like to leave the pie crust shield on as it cools because sometimes it all sticks together. So I think I can get a hold of the edge. There we go. Put that in there. So here it is. Now this is screaming hot. It needs to cool completely, probably for several hours before you enjoy it, which is really hard to wait because it's so yummy. But especially for this pie, it needs to be completely cool. And I will say that I think it tastes even better the next day. So this is our blueberry sour cream pie. I hope you try it. It's really delicious and very easy to do. If you liked this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to my channel, and it's free. It only takes a second, and that way you'll be notified every time we post a new video. So I hope that you have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.